Ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
And in time this too shall pass.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
Jerry Petito taught the class.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
Loves the answer, the greener grass.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do,
Just what to do, just what to do.
if what you're feeling is really true,
Is it really true? Is it really true?
just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
And in time this too shall pass.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
Jerry Petito taught the class.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
Loves the answer, the greener grass.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jerry Petito Show on PANJ Radio. So, today's show is really a great show. It's going to be a special show, especially for me. I'm the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. You can find my book anywhere online. It's just a different take on addiction. It's here to help the addict, not judge them. So, I'm going to have my guests introduce themselves. And then I'm going to read the poem that I wrote about today's show. Okay, guys? So, let's start with you, sir.
So, my name is Tony Buford. I'm a designer and art director and a friend of the project. They had written the book and asked me to come in and turn it into a live thing, which we did.
So cool, sir.
Okay, I'm Bob Borden, and Bert and I conceived this idea many years ago, and finally we're seeing it come to fruition.
That's beautiful. Bert, my friend.
Right, just basically the author was based on a song that was written in the last century, and I happened to bring it with me today, and we developed the story from the last verse of the song.
So tell everyone the title of the book.
How Siegfried the Elf Saved Christmas.
Okay. And what is the concept in a nutshell?
It has several different things going on. Basically, it deals with a little bit like Rudolph, in which there's a character, actually the hero of the story, who is not really well received, but he has so much to offer, and he manages to save Christmas through his brilliance and his kindness. And
It's beautiful.
yes, and actually the things going on around him too, the environment's changing, and that's where his brilliance comes in, because he's a problem solver.
Problem solver. So, I welcome my surprise guest today. I'm so happy. Vinny's here. Vinny, tell everybody who you are.
I'm Vinny V, or Vinny Vitarosa from PANJ Radio. I'm host here and engineer part-time, and that's who I am.
It's so great to have you here. I love you.
It's good to have you.
Great surprise.
Thank you, thank you.
So,
It's good to be here.
so cool. And not being in the hot seat, right? This is kind of fun for you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read the poem that I wrote, everybody, and then you'll get a little bit more of an understanding. Okay? How Siegfried the Elf Saved Christmas. How Siegfried the Elf Saved Christmas is the title of this kid's book. Bert Stronsdorf and his crew's creation is off the hook. A child's book is really cool. Kids love to read. Kids' books rule. A child's author stands alone. When they write, they set the tone. Their books teach kids how to live and to grow. From the words and the pics teaches what they should know. Kids are so smart more than ever today. Kids always listen to all that we say. That's why it's important to teach what we could, but try to be positive and show them there's good. Our kids are so responsive with everything we do. Don't teach them to be angry. It's really up to you. To become a writer, out of the box you must think. You need to become that one missing link. Let your mind wander and let your thoughts go. When your imagination is flying, your paper will know. My poet's corner is filled with dreams. When the world is still and yet it seems. When I think and write, when I dream and stare, when I play the part, I'm a poet's pair. For you to make magic with your paper and pen, get into your thoughts again and again. I'd rather paint and draw and write. It keeps me happy, cheery, and bright. If you're not creative or just don't know how, just pull out your pad and start writing now. Our writings are uplifting, brings tears and some love. All writers are priceless, we are sent from above. To be creative is what we do, take something old and make it new. God made us right-brained to get the job done. We're so creative, not like everyone. My art keeps me grounded, as sane as could be, 'cause with no pink crayons, no rainbows for me. We have to put color in all that we do. Since we choose the colors, we'll never feel blue. So guys, the reason why...
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Thank you. The reason why I wanted to write this poem that way is to let everybody out there understand the depth of what's happening with our kids today. So, you know, even if you think your kids aren't listening, they are listening to every single word you are saying, even if they're 2 rooms away. They're mimicking you. They're watching your actions. So, you know, the bullying today is worse than ever. So I'm just here to say that this book, it's about so many different things, and some of it has to do with bullying as well. Buy this book. When you guys hear about what this book is really about, you're going to want this book for your child and for some family members' kids. So I would put it on your Christmas list. Okay, I am a huge fan. I cannot wait to have the first copy of this book because I think this book is one of the most amazing children's books ever written, guys. Okay, and I don't say that lightly. So, having said that, I'm going to give you guys the floor. Bert, whatever you guys would like to talk about, let's get this word out there.
Okay. I'll open up. We kind of are riding, excuse me, we're kind of riding the energy of what's out there today with technology. Kids today are really, really sharp. And whereas Harry Potter books have been written with a little bit higher level, kids today, they want to get that so much that they sit down, they read it, and they have raised themselves with the energy of where we're going with the technology. And our book is sort of the same way. There's a lot going on here, and we know that kids today they're on a better level, on a higher level. So we've given them a story which has a lot going on, and if the kids are just a little too young today, they can understand it and appreciate it, and that's where the parents come in as well. That when they're young, the parents could read it to them, and then maybe the next year they'll want to read it themselves because they've grown a little bit and their reading level is developed.
It's beautiful. Would you like to say something?
Yes.
Okay.
I just did. No, I was thinking when Bert was speaking about, he mentioned Harry Potter, and I was reading a commentary, I guess, by a guy named Harold Bloom, and he was saying how that he did not think that Harry Potter would have a lasting effect. He said that he thought that Lewis Carroll books would last long after Harry Potter was gone. Now, that was his opinion. It seems to me that the magic and the plot of Harry Potter would also carry it on, but that's not to say that Alice in Wonderland is going to end anytime soon.
Right, I agree. I agree with that. I have a question. What took you guys so long? Because tell everybody how long you've been writing it and what transpired through all this.
Okay, basically, a friend of mine, Ernie White, which a lot of people know,
Yes.
this consummate guitarist in the area. I called him up in the early 90s, and I told him that I had an idea for a Christmas novelty song. And so in the studio, we developed it. And that was a long time ago. And from there, I saw that there was a story there, and especially coming out of the last verse. We actually brought the song along today, so I think
Okay.
we'll be able to hear it. And Bob and I sat down and wrote it in the last century, and then it just seemed like it was out of reach to get it out to the public. Things have changed so much. Like Tony could tell you, I'm sure, like 25 years ago, it wasn't easy to do anything yourself. So every year Christmas would come and go, and I would go, you know, I got a story. I think maybe boys and girls might appreciate this. I can't tell it. I just don't have the resources. So just came to the point where I met an illustrator who's actually the illustrator of the book, Sandy Holiday, and she liked the story and she agreed to provide all the illustrations.
Yep.
And that's when things just began to take off. And we just met her within the past 3 years.
So Sandra Holiday is a beautiful woman. I got to meet her. They were on my show at Hamilton Radio, and she brought a lot of illustrations with her that were off the charts. Beautiful.
Yeah.
She had an emergency today, so that's why she couldn't be here, but she will be calling in, hopefully. So at least we'll get to talk to her that way. So, hello, sir. Tell everybody what's going on and how you came to do what you've done for this book.
Well, it's as a designer and somebody who's worked with one or two other authors, like Bert said, what has changed over the last, say, 10 years or so is that you have an idea, you can write it down, you can put it into some form that you can send it as a computer file to somebody, and next weekend you could be selling books of your poetry, of your recipes, of anything. And the process, I helped a musician that I worked with, who's actually, I'm pointing because he's right over in Yardley, but Rick Lawton had a situation where his students, his drumming students, his parents all asked the same questions. How much should I spend? Where should I buy these things? And he started writing notes down and saying, well, I'll make a note, and then when I get a new student, I'll have the answer for that. And after he went through 25 or 35 of his students, he realized that all the questions were the same. And so he wrote a real small book on how to select a drum set. And then a year later, he wrote another small book on how to buy cymbals. And these kind of things, and how to buy cases. Should I buy soft cases or hard cases for my kids' drums? How to select a teacher. Because everybody asks the same things. And Rick came to me and said, I'm thinking about writing a book. That's kind of what I do. I'm kind of the guy that people come up to and say, I'm thinking about putting out a CD. I'm thinking about writing a book. Are you in? And as I always tell Bert, the answer is sure. And when he came, he had a book, and he gave it to me as kind of typewritten text. And I had been working with him before on a project where they did assemblies in school auditoriums to talk about things like bullying and cliques and teamwork and all of those kind of things. And so when Bert said he was writing a book, I said, well, I almost already know what it's about, and so yes, I'm in. And then I got to see the insanely great illustrations that Sandra did, and it's at some point or other you would like to say the job designed itself, but it kind of didn't. It was a bunch of work, but at the same time it's so much different when you're doing the work and you know that somebody's going to be sitting down with a 2-year-old on their lap, reading the book and showing the pictures. It's a lot different than my last position. I worked for the president of Philadelphia City Council, and that was, we have a law. We're doing this. And as soon as I started working on this book, all of a sudden it felt like I was contributing to something. Mm-hmm. And it's and as the book gets out there, we're going to have it. We also set up a website for the book, and I had all these brilliant ideas about names, and in the end, it became ZiegfriedTheElf.com. And the books will be on sale there probably in about a week, probably next Wednesday or so.
That's cool.
But that's kind of what I did, is that they put together all these pieces and then handed it to me, and I was like, this is going to be great. And it was. We got to make some changes and do different things. Nobody ever mentions there are raccoons in a book. Every book doesn't have raccoons,
No.
and it's but this one does.
So, Ben,
Yeah.
would you like to ask anybody any questions? Or?
I just love the vibe. I love the fact that there's so much creativity here.
It is.
You know, I used to write a lot when I was younger, and it seems like I get little blocks now when I try. You know, like you said, it's so easy to do it. Just take out your phone and start dictating it to the phone, but it never sounds the same in the morning. You know? It's like, well, where did that come from? You know. But this is great. I love kids' books. You know, I even tried to write one once too, but it started and ended. You know, but this is a great little community here. You know, connection. Everybody had their contribution, and
Beautiful.
that's how it works.
It's just beautiful.
That's how everything works. We have to connect to each other.
That's right.
In some way.
That's right.
It's beautiful.
Tell everybody something, and then you can do whatever you want to do with your. I know you're dying to do something here, and you can. But I have a question for you first.
Okay.
What sets your book alone from other books? Like what's different about this child's book that's going to make parents say, "That's the book I have to get"?
Well, to me, it's pretty obvious. I don't know if Bob or Tony agree with me, but we open up the North Pole. We really, a lot of people have this concept of this is Santa Claus and he flies with his reindeer on Christmas Eve, and you know, if we've been good boys and girls, the gifts are there. But they don't really know the inner workings of the North Pole, and they will find them out in this book. We
That's
have
awesome.
Santa's elf group leaders, and we have pretty much, you get a very good idea of how they all work and interact. And then the biggest help of all, Siegfried, is actually the quietest elf and the one that's most misunderstood, and he comes to the rescue in the end.
Isn't that amazing?
It's a great illustration. You know,
And I get to keep
exactly
this.
what you just said. That's that
This
elf
is so
there.
cool. I get to keep this. This is I'm
Yeah.
so excited.
That is yours.
That's mine. So what's the deal with the cookies and what's happening here? What do you got?
You have a picture in your hand there, and Sandra has the big drawing, the other side.
Okay.
And those are the Santa's elf group leaders. There are 5 of them. Clara's the one with the bright red hair. And then there's Maria, who's next to her on the right. And Clara's all the way on the left. And then there's Akron, and I'm sorry, that's Bacron and Akron, and Maria's all the way on the right. And Siegfried's front and center. Without my glasses, I'm useless. But they are the elf group leaders. Santa relies on them to help organize. You know, he doesn't do it all. He needs their help greatly. And even simple things. Like, let me explain. Candy canes always originate at the North Pole. Santa was the one that first came up with the idea that boys and girls should have candy canes.
Uh-oh.
So, and this
do a magic trick
is
here.
kind of the way they look.
Okay.
Oh, right.
Yeah, well,
Yep, you can move it. There you go.
this
All
is
right.
kind of the way they look. And Maria, Clara, has the bright red hair. So Santa, designated her to be in charge of
Okay.
making sure all the candy canes got out to all the boys and girls around the world. So Santa just said, I guess a year ago, get those candy canes out. You know what to do. You've done it forever. Clara came up with the bright idea that there are small boys and girls, so they should have a smaller candy cane. And there are a little bit bigger boys and girls, so they have a little bit bigger candy cane. And there are very big boys and girls. You might be one of them. But anyway, they should have very large candy canes. So she kind of put together machines that would churn out the different kinds of candy canes. Santa got word that the candy canes weren't really being produced fast enough. And he said, "What's going on?" She's done this for years. And he found out she had developed different machines. So he was furious, because Christmas is a little over 6 weeks away now. He wanted to make sure they were all done. So he called Clara and said, "What are you doing? We got to get these candy canes out." It doesn't matter, small boys and girls, smaller cane. That doesn't matter. Big boys and girls, big candy cane. It doesn't matter. Just get them out. One size, just give it to them. You want to give the bigger boys and girls 2, go ahead. I don't care. But anyway, he was very adamant about that. So Clara had these machines ready. She had all the materials ready to make them. And she's wondering, how am I going to do this now? I have to redesign, retool. But she figured you have to start where one side, the ends, the bottoms are all the same. So you can't do anything until they all start the same. So now they're all together.
Okay.
And she was thinking, I'm going to need a little magic because I'm not going to be able to make this work. So she had to come up with a term, and the term was Santa Cadabra. So you guys have to help me here a little bit, okay? We have to do this 3 times. Ready? 1.
Santa Cadabra.
2.
Santa Cadabra.
3.
Santa Cadabra.
Oh.
Well, let's see what's going on here.
Yeah, how'd you do that?
I knew this was going to be a magic trick.
They look all the same. So actually you can see that she made them all the same, and she actually had made a larger cane. So this year's boys and girls, regardless of their size, will get a larger cane.
So I just want to know how he did that.
You never
can't
tell
reveal
people
it.
I do magic.
You helped. You said the magic word.
That's how we did it.
Yeah, he explained how he did it. It was.
It was magic.
Okay, magic.
If anything.
That was great.
Gotta
Anyway.
believe. Gotta believe.
Yes. I'm impressed.
Me too. I was wondering. I knew there was something.
There was something, but we weren't sure what. So what else?
Anyway, other than that, we can tell you a little bit about the story, but
Yes.
Bobby can tell you, or Tony, either one, Mrs. Claus is the absolute best cookie maker of all time. And go ahead, Bobby. How did they get here?
It was, well, this morning I got up, it was kind of cold, and I went down to the kitchen, and I spent maybe 2 hours, trying to process this, and I got them just about on the cookie sheets and ready to go in, and I tripped and fell, so I went to ShopRite and picked these up.
That's too bad.
Storytellers.
I hate that stuff.
Anyway,
Oh, okay, now,
I actually thought the alternative reindeer brought them down. Here you go.
You're gonna love this, Vin. Bert is on board with us.
Okay.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
They have they don't have like cows at the North Pole, so they use a reindeer milk,
I love it.
yes.
and
And it's organic.
it is organic. Yeah,
Never taste reindeer milk.
that's why we brought you some, Vinny.
Oh my goodness.
You're gonna love it.
Is this a magic trick too? or
No,
what?
This is actual reindeer milk from the North Pole,
Okay.
and it came in with Santa's alternate reindeer crew, which I think we have a picture of.
Picture
them. Yep.
of someplace right here.
Oh, there it
There they
is.
are. You got that okay? There
you go.
Okay.
Okay, you want to tell them who they are, Bobby?
Well, I got to read them.
There you go. You
okay.
hold on to it. You do it.
Okay. Right. Let me see here.
Destroy it.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. Well, we'll take this from the bottom here. Okay. I think I'm being shown this way, so that's pretty tough. Let me just set that down. Okay. We had.
Cool.
I'm going to read these off, and then I'll show them so the camera can get them a little better. We have Asteroid, Air Rose, Entrancer and Foxy, Clogger and Splasher, Woolly Fly, and Roxy. Do we tell them the backstory here, or do we not want to let them know about?
Go ahead.
Okay, all right. Well, originally, and I might have a picture of him, but I don't know. Woolly Fly was going to be Donnie J. Donnie J had orange hair, a rather protruding stomach, and we thought that perhaps maybe political connotations could be made there, and so we changed that to Willie Fly, who is somebody who's more politically correct.
Yeah, it's very, very apropos. I mean, he's flying, right?
All right.
Right.
Flying, right? Yeah.
Can we toast the
Yes.
Here we go.
Toast.
Okay.
Toast.
reindeer milk?
Right.
Oh, you're right here, Bobby.
Oh, okay.
Come on, Bobby.
Okay.
Reindeer milk, everybody.
Okay.
We milked
There
them
you
this
go.
morning, reindeer.
From the North Pole.
From the North
From the
Pole.
North Pole.
Ah, yes.
Different, right? Different.
Amazing.
Amazing doesn't begin to describe it. Holy cow.
I live on this stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
Where do you get your
do you-
supply
well,
of
then-
reindeer?
Then you would probably like another glass, wouldn't you?
Oh my gosh. All right. You can put your milk down.
Okay, there, I'll sit down.
I'll hold this so they can see this.
Oh, okay. Well, we told their names and how they kind of got there, so that's kind of basically what they are. Is what happened in the story. Santa has to go to a place and pick up some helium,
Red Fox Bay.
and out in the wilds of the North Pole, there's a old guy that lives there, and he's collected junk from all over the place. Now, we seem to think there may be a possibility that he was an English pilot in the Second World War, but we're not sure about that. So his name is Benny, and he lives there, and he's a bush pilot. So, but he has collected over the years many, many things. So they have to get these helium things to a place where they're going to hook them onto an iceberg. If that sounds ridiculous, it probably is, but it works. So, anyway,
It works.
they.
Sure it does.
So anyway, the original reindeer are involved in transporting Santa, so they don't have time to go do this. So they get the alternative reindeer. These are the alternative reindeer that just sit around, like they're like the baseball players in the bullpen. They just come
Okay.
in when
When
they're
needed.
needed, and so they're needed. So they load them up or hook them up to an alternative sleigh, and they go over to Benny the bush pilots and pick up the helium and the barrage balloons that happen to be stashed there, and bring them back to where the glacier is, and then they work this out, and eventually it is all due to the alternative reindeer. If it wasn't for them, the thing wouldn't have worked.
That's so cool.
Definitely.
I mean, think about that. It sounds weird, right? But I think it's cool. I mean, we have to kind of communicate with our kids today more on their levels anyway, right? So I think that this story is probably going to do that,
Yeah, I think so too.
right? Especially with the
They're
helium.
going to see the inner workings. Of,
Yes.
and actually, those reindeer are ready in case Santa's regular reindeer get sick or something happens, injured.
They're on standby.
They're on standby.
Yeah.
They can.
Their nose doesn't glow. Stuff like that.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they can do the job.
Yeah.
We don't have a glowing reindeer.
Yeah, I don't think we have any alternative glowing reindeers. But actually, maybe they might get some fermented reindeer milk. No.
Now, does the helium help the sleigh go higher?
No, they use the helium to raise an iceberg.
The iceberg.
The iceberg is raised with the helium balloons, and they put the helium in the balloons, obviously,
Okay.
and then they attach that to the iceberg. It raises it up to that portion of the atmosphere called the reindeerosphere.
Ah,
How about that?
reindeerosphere.
Right.
Yeah, the boys and girls might have
Very
always.
scientific. Okay.
Yeah, might have always wondered, how can Santa and his reindeer fly with all that congestion in the air? Well, they actually have their own means of travel. They have their own sphere,
Really?
strictly reserved for the travel of Santa and all the presents, so that there's no interference at all Christmas Eve when he leaves,
As it should be.
as it should be.
Yeah.
Right.
And you discuss this in the book.
This
Yes.
is in the book, yes.
This is cool. I didn't know about that part.
So you can't just get with everybody traveling, especially on Christmas. Imagine you're trying to fly
Very,
a
very
sleigh
difficult, yeah.
and land, what, 7 billion times?
At
And
least.
take off?
Right. Can't,
It's very difficult.
Being a magical elf is one thing. Flying through all that traffic is really another. So what you need is your own, kind of like when the president comes to Philadelphia or somewhere and they block off everything.
Got
Well,
you.
they don't need that for Santa because it's a sleigh.
It's a sleigh.
So if they can have something that's, I don't know, 20, 30, 50 feet high and just tell everybody, stay out of here, and then Santa can do what he does at the incredible speed he does it.
Have you guys thought about, at some point maybe making this into some sort of a movie?
well, that's always been my goal.
Okay.
Or-
Like a 30-minute.
Yes, for kids.
Or for
A
kids.
show,
yeah.
a Christmas show, right? Think about that, Vin.
Whether it
Sounds
could-
amazing.
Imagine that.
Well, funny that you should say that because that kind of was what we thought first we were going to do. We were going to then we realized, whoa, that's pretty complicated and possibly rather expensive. So we thought we'd go the book route first, and then see what happens.
So I'm going to ask you guys a personal question. If you don't want to answer it, it's okay, but I'm hoping you will, and this is why. Everyone who knows the majority of the Jerry Petito shows, they're all to enlighten and they're all to motivate, and that's just my thing, right? So I want everybody out there to understand that it's never too late. It's never too late for anyone to do anything that they want to do. So be true to yourself, and here is the perfect example if these gentlemen would let us know their ages. Is that okay with you?
Our ages?
Your ages.
How old's Santa? I'm going to be 73 Christmas Eve.
How about that?
Christmas Eve, born on Christmas Eve.
Beautiful.
Wow.
And you, sir?
Inspiration.
I'm 84.
That's right. So when I heard this, I was blown away because I've known Bert a while with his music, and I did not know at all that he was. I'm not even. I don't want to use the word old, but I didn't know you were as old as you are. I didn't know your age because you don't. You're so amazing, and you're. I just was blown away by that. And then when I met you, and I was told that, I was really blown away. And the reason why I think this is important for people to know out there is so that there are people sitting there right now, probably in their 50s and 60s, that are saying, oh, it's too late. I should have done it 20 years ago. No, it's not. Nothing's ever too late. I don't care how old you are. It is not too late for you to fulfill your dreams. Right, Vin? Tell everybody.
True that.
I mean, you know how I feel about that. So never say never. And it's not too late. So no matter what you guys have in your minds or that you want to do or accomplish, you can still do that. Okay, perfect example here today. This is amazing.
I have a friend who's 60. He was 65, picked up the guitar for the first time in his life. He's like he's 70. He'll be 70. He plays guitar, piano, everything.
Amazing, right?
And he writes music.
Yeah.
I mean,
Amazing.
he just waited all his life
Yeah.
to sit
That's-
down
that's
and
great.
and do it. It's
Just
a really
do it.
You can do it. It's always there.
Yes.
The heart is always there.
That's right.
The inspiration is always there. Just
Just
have to dig
do
into
it.
it. Just find.
Yeah, Tony and Sandy are the babies of the outfit here. Tony.
Tell us about Tony. Tell us a little bit about Sandy because she hasn't
How
called
old are
you
you,
yet.
Tony?
Tony's a baby.
That's it. I'm a baby. I'll be a senior citizen in 3 weeks.
All right. Happy senior, baby. You got your ARP stuff in the mail probably 5 years ago, right?
Well, yeah, every other day.
Yes, me too. Okay, come on. But anyway, why don't you tell everyone about Sandra since she hasn't called in yet? Because I really want everyone to know about how amazing she is as well.
Well, Bert, Bert knows her better than I.
Oh, okay.
I know her mostly through her work, and it's as a designer, somebody who's worked with illustrators and photographers, and some people doing video. It's that's how I know people is through
Okay.
through their work,
Okay.
and it's little things that we worked with in the book is that the style that she uses is clean but loose. And from a design standpoint, for example, when somebody draws like a nice loose box around what they're drawing, it's almost, I don't know, it's almost a bad idea to just put it into the book and put it in a perfectly square box. So what we've done in the book, and it's is to allow all of her drawings to sit kind of just the way she drew them.
Okay.
So there are little places where she goes outside the lines and where she doesn't fully draw the box that goes around her drawing, and that's the best part.
It's amazing.
So it's but I mostly know her by her work, and Bert knows her from her business and from other things. So Bert,
Yes, Bert. Tell us.
She's an art major. She graduated from the University of Maryland as an art major, and she also is insanely flexible. Her drawings are insanely good, but
They are.
she's a yoga instructor. She works for Honor Yoga, and I met her through she does like twice a week through the gym that I'm affiliated with. That's where I first met her
Okay.
3 years ago. She's very well-rounded.
She's awesome. Her
She is.
illustrations were off the charts.
Yeah, they are. As a matter of fact, she has a few, and I think Tony's agreed with me, and Bobby too. They have to be T-shirts. They're just that good.
I agree.
You know, there are 2 or 3 that are.
Right.
You look at them, it's wow.
right? Yeah,
Beautiful.
T-shirts,
You need a
T-shirts and
T-shirt.
posters and greeting cards.
Yeah. No, they are insanely good. And what does she have? Like 30 of them altogether in the book. 30
Illustration.
big, large drawings.
I think when we scanned her original drawings, I think we had 50.
50 of her drawings. Wow.
But I forget whether that included the raccoons. I told you.
Okay.
I can't.
Okay.
So
I told you there
tell
were
us
raccoons.
about the
Probably
raccoons.
the raccoons. Bobby, that's your deal.
Come on, tell us about the raccoons. This is so cool.
we started out, and actually, I think we were meeting at the Burlington County Library, and Bert and I guess Sandra was supposed to be there, but she was delayed for whatever reason, and Bert went to call her, and I started doodling on a piece of paper, and I made a couple of raccoons, and then we came, and Bert came back and said, "Oh, they're pretty cool." I said, "Yeah, okay, well, we could do this one." So then we originally, as I mentioned before, we were thinking about doing this as a video, so we said, "Okay, well, let's have the raccoons go to a dump, and they find a crystal ball." And they look in the crystal ball and they see Santa in there, one of those shakers where you shake the ball and snow comes down, that type of thing. But so then at another time we were planning to have footnotes in the book, and then we decided that the raccoons were kind of amplify the footnotes. So we kind of got rid of the footnotes because it kind of chopped up the narrative a little bit.
Okay.
So that's how they kind of came to be.
That's adorable. I can't wait.
Now they're actually thought bubbles, so that last time we were on your show,
Yeah,
we read the introduction, and they find this book in a resource recovery complex,
Okay. Okay.
which AKA dump. Our book. Can you imagine? And actually, the mother comes and she's very upset with the 3 of them for being in the resource recovery complex, and
The
she
dump.
like chastises them. What do you? I told you so many times you can't play in here. It's dangerous. So they all found something very special. One of their 3 little raccoons, and one raccoon found a box of Florida oranges, and he figured, oh, if I bring this home, we can have oranges for Christmas, and it'd just be a wonderful treat for us. Well, the mother nixed that idea quick. She said, they could be spoiled, we'll all get sick, shame on you. Another raccoon found a mirror, and they were having so much fun playing in the mirror making all kinds of funny faces and images. And the mother said, shame on you. That mirror is made out of glass. It could break. You'll cut yourselves, So the third little raccoon found our book. Can you imagine? Buried in a pile of who knows what. But he presented it to the mother, thinking that the mother would not yell at him because he found something that was creative and, they could enjoy. And the mother actually was not happy that he had found the book, but she started to read it, and she realized it was a Christmas story. It was about Siegfried. And then the three little raccoons were very, very, very excited. They wanted to hear the whole story. It was just a few days before Christmas. And so the mother actually sat down and gathered the three of them around, like we hope mothers and fathers do with our book, gather the young ones around, and started reading. And the raccoons were always imagining all the excitement that was in the book. They were imagining it was them. They kind of put themselves into, vicariously into the plot of the story. And that goes all the way through the story, by the way.
So is that the beginning where the raccoons, so the raccoons are actually reading the story?
Yep.
The mother raccoon.
The mother raccoon is actually reading the story.
Yes.
To the small
to
ones.
the little ones.
And that's the introduction. And she says, okay, I'll read it to you. How Siegfried the Elf Saved Christmas. And you turn the page and
That's
There we go.
The story
And
begins.
that's how the
by
book
one
starts.
and by
Amazing.
one fortuitous circumstance, they found the one copy that happened to be written in raccoon.
So I love that even more, of course. So
Gee, it's
Okay.
incredible. How could that happen?
that is so great.
Magic.
All right. So it is magic, right?
Yeah, sure.
So this is such a cool idea because it's not only about amazing elves saving Christmas. It's about raccoons, right? So kids could really relate to this. I mean, what child would not want to hear a raccoon mom reading the story to her young, right? I mean, that is just so awesome.
Enjoying the tale of the North Pole.
Right.
Every Christmas.
So let's touch base a little bit about the concept of bullying. You have something in there about bullying, correct?
We do.
Talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Actually, Siegfried, with all of his ability, the other four behind Siegfried there, I think they're all a little bit jealous. Siegfried, Santa kind of has this special feeling for Siegfried, even though Santa is very, very cool about not favoring one elf over another. He tries to be very careful, and he uses all of their elf birth names. And once or twice, one of the elves heard Santa say Ziggy, and that's, they weren't happy about that because he had this cool nickname, and with them it was all prim and proper. So they developed a little bit of jealousy towards Siegfried. And Siegfried is brilliant, but throughout the story, some of the jealousy kind of shows up. Like Siegfried tries, and he doesn't always succeed. When they went to Red Fox Bay to deliver to get the iceberg ready for the trip, and I don't want to tell you too much of the story. You're going to find out why they had to get the iceberg ready. They were all kind of upset because, a little jealous because it was Siegfried's idea, and some of this backbiting comes out. So, and that couple things fail. It wasn't a success from the beginning to the end. It developed as the story developed, and you could sense this bullying. It's not like overt, more covert. After his few failures appear, but he doesn't give up. I mean, he's determined, and he's determined to help Santa, and he does succeed in the end, and he makes Christmas happen.
So that's beautiful. We were talking a little bit on a show I was on last night about, movies back in the day when we were growing up and stories, and some of them were just so violent but accepted, and we didn't even realize it, you know? So to have something like this come out, guys, right here, this is unbelievable. Because it's not just about Christmas, it's not just about presents, and it's not just about Santa. And, you know, there are a lot of kids out there, unfortunately, that are being bullied. So I think this book can help them, and it can help families. So there's so much more to this book than just a Christmas story, right?
Yeah, that's true. And the old phrase, sticks and stones hurt my bones,
Yeah.
names, well, names do hurt.
Names do hurt.
And they have their share towards Siegfried in the story.
Right.
And it does hurt.
So I just think this is going to be an incredible, incredible book. So anybody?
Looking for it. It's coming out when?
Yeah.
Coming out soon.
What we're doing is the printer is sending me our first copy now, so we should get that, I'm hoping by the end of the week.
And that's going to be yours.
Yay! It's so cool. So
And
excited.
it's and what we're going to do is take a look with printing, especially if you're printing original artwork. When you give it to a particular printer, depending on his printing press, depending on his methods, depending on how he handles computer files and all the rest of this, when it comes back, it might be the exact same color in the drawing that in the artwork that Sandy did. The blue might look like it's a little more
Okay.
purple or green. All of these things are adjustable, but you have to see it first.
Yeah.
So it's the same reason that in printmaking, when they do all the rest of that, the first one that sometimes we see in a gallery or sometimes we see in someone's home that says AP, which stands for artist proof. They make one and then show it to the artist, and the artist looks at it and says, that's wrong, this is wrong, that's not supposed to be yellow, fix it. And what we are waiting for right now is just the artist proof of the book. And we'll have that in a couple of days, and we can take a look. And I'm projecting that we'll be able to have them for sale online next week.
This is so cool.
Fantastic.
So great.
It's kind of a process, and it's that was one of the benefits. Kind of when Bert asked me about producing a book, and I said, "Gee, I just produced a book for somebody. We can do this and not guess all the way through, because that's tough." It's when I was working with, as I said, my friend and drummer Rick Lawton over in Yardley. When I was working with him, we kind of sent things in, and then we looked at it and said, yeah, the text is a little too close to the bottom, because when they cut the books, it looks like it's right where your fingers are while you're trying to hold the book. Those kind of things.
Okay.
But mostly this time we're looking at making sure that that all of these incredible drawings that we have look the way they looked when we saw them and said,
Right.
this is the greatest thing ever.
Right.
And like I said, we're looking at, I'm hoping for Wednesday, but probably at the latest Friday of next week. We're at Siegfried the Elf. We're making some, SiegfriedTheElf.com. We're making some publishing decisions to determine whether we have time to work with other online publishers and the Amazons and Barnes and Nobles of the world, or whether that really involves spending a lot of time and a lot of effort, and then you turn around and it's 10 days before Christmas.
Okay.
So it's right now, people are thinking of it, we're thinking of it as a Christmas book, but as the same as when I worked with Bert when he was doing the music, he and Ernie were doing the music for kids in school. People don't always take what you think they will when you do something.
Right.
And I have a feeling, just like you were saying earlier off air, that that people will start reading this and going, "Have you heard about that Siegfried guy?"
right.
It's like, it's a Christmas book. It's like, I don't care. It's happening right now in school. It's
right.
happening right here in on my little league baseball team.
That's right.
So that's where we are, is trying to get this out, and we're expecting that this is going to happen any day now.
So,
Did you say Ernie? Ernie? Is that a word?
I did.
Oh. So you got a Bert and Ernie?
Burner.
That's
Yeah,
great.
it's-
How perfect is that?
It's and Sandy's last name is Holiday. It's a whole thing.
oh, please. I love it.
Cool.
So, everybody out there, we're coming to the close of the show. And what I usually do about now is thank everybody out there who's been listening and watching. And we just appreciate you, because without you guys, right, we wouldn't have a show. I mean, let's face it.
Right.
So I want to thank you all for that. I want to thank all my guests, absolutely. They know how I feel about them, and they know how I feel about this book. And you all know how I feel about this book. So, let's buy this book for your kids, even for your friends' kids, your family members' kids, okay? Any kid, okay? You know what? Let's donate books. This should be the book we donate to, right? To different school projects, to whatever. I'm just all into this book, guys. All right? So, I'm going to have everyone, including Vinny, give a shout out to whatever it is they want you to know about them one last time, how you can find them, anything else they want to say. I'm going to start with Vinny, because Vinny holds a special place in my heart. I've been on Vinny's show here. The connection here is amazing, and I just love you. So
Love
tell
you too.
everyone about your show and how they can find you.
We're here at panjradio.com. My show's called In the Green Room. It's usually, I say usually, 5 o'clock on a Tuesday, and we run the whole week at 5 o'clock. And it's like a variety show. We play all different kinds of things going on. A lot of charities, a lot of just neighborhood stuff that people bring in. We have all kinds of things, and it's a fun show. So it's 5 o'clock on Tuesdays here at PANJ Radio.
So we did something together as well. Rob Bell, the owner of PNJ Radio, came out to Hamilton Radio, and he was my guest, and we did a podcast. Is that how we say it?
I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Vinny was here, and so the three
Yeah,
of us did
that's
the
right.
show together. It was just so cool.
Yeah.
It was awesome. So give everybody a shout out one last time, what you would like them to know.
What's as we said, eventually in little tiny pieces, is that this was a project. None of us individually could have made this book.
That's cool.
I've made books. I've designed things. I've designed packaging for Apple Computer, but I couldn't have done the drawings. I couldn't have written it, and it's so it's as important that we had to collaborate and set up this team to do it as it is in the book, because when they had a problem and they needed a solution, it's like, why don't we go talk to Benny and see if we can get the parts? And why don't we go to talk to this guy here, because where are we going to find an iceberg? And why don't we? And it's so it's the same kind of thing. And it's I designed this thing, but it's parts and elements of what everybody else did. I mean, this is what I do. I'm looking for a job, but at the
beautifully
same
said.
time,
Yeah.
I'm working with them and helping them get this thing done.
That was beautifully said. It's sort of like the story. Sir?
Well, I want to talk about the prequel. This is what will be our next project, I believe. I did some research on elves, and I found that they are primarily of Germanic origin, and they were not always good. So luckily, I was able to get some DNA from Mr. Stronsdorf, and I traced him back to Fender Grotwald, who was one of the original elves, and found that he actually has a connection to these people. Now, the prequel will focus on the how a Swedish man named Tyvolk Sundenberg
Wait a minute.
gets
Sonnenberg owes me $20.
pardon me? I'm not trying to hear what you said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Say Sonnenberg
That's all right.
owes me money.
Oh, good. Oh, everybody owes you money. Anyway, he had this little friend named Nick, and they went, well, I'll call it elf hunting, but that's probably not a good way to say it. Anyway, and so he found the elves, and finally they changed the elves from being people of nefarious opportunities to little helpers. And that will be our prequel.
That's beautiful. Mr. Burt, we have a couple minutes for you.
This started so long ago, and it was like basically a hot summer day, and I talked to Ernie on the phone, and I said, Ern, I have this idea for this novelty Christmas song. Can you help me out? And went up to the studio. And if it's okay, I'd like to finish with that. It's like 3.5 minutes long.
We've got it. Let's close out with that song.
We put that together, and we actually put it on one of our kids' albums or CDs.
Perfect. There you go.
And the last verse of the song is basically where the story comes from. I mean, we took that last verse and developed.
Rob, what button does he have to press?
Down there, I think, on the bottom, the lower ones.
Play.
Play.
The one that says play.
Can't see it.
To the left, I think it's one arrow.
I would say to the middle left.
Down here somewhere?
No,
Yeah,
middle,
down there.
in the middle bar there. I think.
Nope.
There it is. Turn it up maybe just a little. That will work.
Everyone's talking global warming. On Christmas Eve, we got a global warming. Way down south, they don't get no snow. Way up north, it's not the same. Ho, ho, ho.
Ernie White's doing all the solos in the middle. I do the Christmas fluff around it.
Strange one knows. If it gets too hot, the darn thing never glows. Everybody knows it never snows. South of the border, that's all out of order. For a reindeer cruise. Real late at night, there's some palm trees sway. It's got Minnesota, it must be a Florida day. On East LA, they see less chimneys than there are back north. That means Santa Claus can now walk through the front door. Everybody knows it never snows. South of the border, that's all out of order. For a reindeer cruise. Bermuda Triangle makes reindeer uneasy. So many changes make Santa get queasy. He tells his reindeer who fly through hot and cold, when you hit this stretch, kids, you just got to be bold. Boys and girls north and south are writing their lists. Now Santa reads one with a brand new twist. One smoky Largo girl said, Santa, you must know, all we really want's a fresh blanket of snow. Everybody knows it never snows. South of the border. Everybody knows it never snows. South of the border. Everybody knows that it never snows. South of the border.
Rob Bell is even dancing.
The last verse that the story came from. You probably cut it, it just fades.
This is great.
Cool.
Thank you, everybody.
good.
Awesome.
Very good.
All right. Ciao.
Now,
Ciao.
thank you. Thank you, Jared.
It's good.
Yes, thank you.
So great.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
And in time this too shall pass.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
Jerry Petito taught the class.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
Loves the answer, the greener grass.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do.
Just what to do, just what to do.
If what you're feeling is really true.
Is really true, is it really true?
Just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
And in time this too shall pass.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
Jerry Petito taught the class.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
Loves the answer, the greener grass.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass.
One day at a time, free at last.